Minglaba and welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Agajo. Today we have reports on one more case in Insein and Ministry of Health and Sports keeping Insein under medical surveillance. Another report is on fishing vessels temporarily stopping fishing amid COVID-19 in Myanmar. And another news coverage on CITIC Myanmar donating supplies to Chaopyu locals, and the last report on theories highlighting COVID-19's origin is not man-made. All of that on this edition of Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. State Councillor Daw San Suu Kyi has invited interested persons to join in the homemade cotton mask competition on her Facebook page. She wrote that she was planning to organize a homemade cotton mask competition. Interested participants were permitted to make one mask or more than one mask. The mask was to be self-made either by hand or by sewing machine, and that participants were free to choose any design they liked. She further said that she was going to make a mask herself and that she would post a picture of herself wearing the mask on her Facebook page on 13th May. The competitors should post the pictures of their masks in the comment section of her Facebook page. Prizes would be presented to 3 participants who received the most likes from the people during 13th and 15th May. The Disaster Management Department under the Ministry of Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement has used 329.1 million kyats from its budget for foods, construction materials, and other relief items after the strong winds that devastated buildings from 9th April to 7th May. During this period, a total of 377 houses and 13 religious buildings were destroyed, and some damages occurred at 5,982 houses and 124 religious buildings. On 6th May, the strong winds destroyed house and religious buildings in Lewi Township in Naypyidaw, Kachin State, Bagum, Magwe, Mandalay, Shan, and Ayeyarwady. 2 people were also injured in these devastations. A total of 640 factories and workplaces in Mandalay region has started to resume their operation as of 5th May, according to a working committee on publication of genuine information and monitoring false news of the coronavirus pandemic. The Ministry of Health and Sports has urged the factories and workplaces to follow the mandatory health guidelines to contain the spread of the coronavirus infection. On 4th May, 573 factories were reopened and 22,203 workers returned to work. On 5th May, 67 more factories were reopened again, the committee stated. And that's all with the local news. Now we'll move on to our first report. Among the COVID-19 infected states and regions, Yangon is the most infested area, with 126 confirmed cases in 27 townships. Insein Township is identified as a red area for COVID-19 infection, as there are total 30 confirmed cases in Insein alone. The COVID-19 Preventative Task Force led by the Insein General Hospital carried out fever surveillance and a survey in 4 wards in Insein Township. Pyu Thiritu and Jenai Laukai have the story.
50 more new cases of COVID-19 were confirmed on the night of 7th May. It has become the highest number of positive cases in a single day since the disease was first detected in the country. The confirmed cases in Myanmar reached 176. On the night of 7 May, 13 of the new confirmed cases are from Insein Township alone, the most infested area of COVID-19 across the country. Among the COVID-19 infected states and regions, Yangon is the most infested area with 140 confirmed cases in 27 townships. Insein Township is defined as the red area for the COVID-19 infection, as there are total 42 confirmed cases in Insein. The COVID-19 Preventive Task Force, led by Insein General Hospital, is carrying out fever surveillance and a survey in 4 wards in Insein Township. Dr. Danaiso, Director, Health General Promotion Division, MoHS, said.
Up until 7th May 2020, there have been 176 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Of those 176, 37 have recovered. The 21 recovered patients have been discharged and are being kept in home and facility quarantine, and 16 patients are being put into hospital quarantine. Currently, 132 patients are still being treated at 11 designated hospitals, and one is receiving the treatment at number 2 Defense Service General Hospital in Naypyidaw. Although the number of infections has been reduced, the Ministry of Health has stepped up its effort to prevent the measures in the fight against COVID-19.
Uwe Pyohan, Little Representative Insein Township Constituency 2, said.
စီမံချက်တစ်ခုရေးဆွဲပြီးတော့ဖြစ်များတဲ့ရက်ကွက်၄ရက်ကွက်ကိုကိုဥတည်ပြီးတော့မှအင်ဂျီ1000ကျော်ရှိတယ်လူကြီး9000နီးပါးလောက်ရှိတာပေါ့အဲ့ဒါကိုပြည်ချင်းပြီးအပြီးပေါ့နော်မနေ့ကတနေ့ကိုအင်းကြီးကျမိုင်းစစ်တမ်းတွေကောက်ပါတယ်
The Ministry of Health and Sports has made a plan of carrying out fever medical surveillance measures in Insein Township, as it is the most infested area of COVID-19 currently in Yangon. The fever medical surveillance measures is conducted with the target for over 10,000 households with 50,000 populations, focusing on most infested 4 quarters. The project was organized by a team of more than 750 health workers and volunteers and divided as sub-team as well. Yesterday, we finished the medical surveillance measures day by day. We checked the people if they were suffering the symptoms of COVID-19. If these symptoms found, some are sent to the quarantine center and some to Insein General Hospital for receiving medical treatment. We have sent 16 people to the Insein Quarantine Center, are treated at hospital, and they are going to be taken the swab test.
Dr. Tanaiso, Director of Health Knowledge Promotion Division MoHS, also mentioned.
ဟုတ်တယ်အဲ့တော့ဒါဆောင်ရွက်တဲ့ဟာဒီဘာပဲဆိုတော့မတန်မှတာပေါ့နော်ရလက်အားဖြင့်ကောင်းမွန်မလို့နော်ပါဝင်ဆောင်ရွက်တဲ့စေတနာဝန်ထမ်းတွေကျမကြီးပါနော်နော်ဒီနေ့အရာပြင်ပန်းတာလည်းတော်တော်ပြင်ပန်းပါတယ်နော်ဒီပညာပေးရတယ်အခုကိုဆက်တယ်နဲ့ဆုံးတဲ့ဘက်ကိုပေးရတယ်နော်အဲ့တော့လုပ်ငန်းရဲ့ပမာဏရှိမှကျတယ်
The benefits and results of examination are really good. The health workers and volunteers involved are really tired out, as it is a huge process of education and surveillance to ensure this will continue in other townships where necessary.
Yangon Regional Department of Public Health Deputy Director Dr. Tomye, regional and township medical professionals, local administrators, Red Cross member, Myanmar Fire Services Department, and volunteers were conducting the surveillance measures. The total disease cases were 6, including one new death on 29 April. 50 patients have been identified as recovered cases, and 37 have already recovered. 9 among the 14 regions and states in Myanmar are infected with COVID-19, except Gaya State, Kayin State, Rakhine State, Ayeyarwady Region, and Tannindai Region. A total number of 284 townships in the entire country are still free from COVID-19. I am Pyote Ritu. This is news reporting from MI Radio.
That's the report on one more case in Insein, and Ministry of Health and Sports keeping Insein under medical surveillance. Fishing boat arrivals to Jimyandai Sempia Fish Market are now enormously decreasing when compared to previous ones, for the reason that the ongoing COVID-19 crisis has brought losses to fish exporting companies, and the number of fish buyers are also declining rapidly. Seyamo Minton Ojin Yenai Laogai and Swayman report.
Fishing boat arrivals to Jimyandai Sempia Fish Market are now enormously decreasing when compared to previous ones, for the reason that the ongoing COVID-19 crisis has brought losses to fish exporting companies, and the number of fish buyers are also declining rapidly. Fishing vessels are also taking temporary retirement without going to the sea in consequence of ongoing COVID-19 crisis. The companies can't buy the fish for export reason. Therefore, not only the companies, but also fish entrepreneurs are facing different forms of difficulty. Uma Mauso, chairman of Myanmar Sea Fishing Entrepreneur Association, said,
Companies can't buy the fish currently because they might have some difficulties. Now export is not allowed. We can't tell exactly how long the virus goes on. They don't buy the fish amid fear for COVID-19 crisis. We can go and fish in the open sea, but the companies don't buy.
Fish price is decreasing because some companies have stopped their functions and they don't buy the fish anymore. But the fish production remain unchanged. Une Liao, in charge of MIG Jetty, said fish price has dropped by about half.
The
factories and industries are struggling with the difficult situation. The exporters don't know what to do, and the price drops by about half. We are suffering losses. If I tell the truth, we don't make a profit. There are 25 to 30 fishing workers in a fishing vessel. We are responsible for the food and the stay of the workers. We will think that we stop our operation if we don't withstand the losses anymore. We will try our best to provide our workers with basic commodities as much as we can, despite the fact that we don't hope for any profits.
Fishing in the open sea will be stopped during Thinjan and the situation will have to be monitored, said Uso Tin, agent of Aung San Suu Fishing Vessels Group.
We will have to monitor the situation of the company, and some can afford to do so. We will have to go on working to ensure the operation should not stop. Now we are doing the fishing because upcoming 3 months are the season when fishing is not allowed. We have been doing the fishing since 1.5 months ago. If we don't do the fishing now, it will be almost 5 months for us without employment. For that reason, we have a lot of difficulties. We, the entrepreneurs, have to finance much in the business, and it can be said a difficult task. Finance is not flowing a little. We are now struggling to overcome the difficult situation while monitoring what will happen next.
To finish fishing season needs about 4 months. The fishing entrepreneur said they're trying not to stop the work. Aung San Suu Fishing Vessels Group that replied to the question of MI Radio has a total of about 60 fishing vessels with about 1,200 fishing workers. It is only one group of fishing vessels. The groups like this are many. In addition to the fishing workers, there are family members relying on them. The entrepreneurs are now providing the fish workers with the basic needs such as food and a stay. If the situation continues for some time, there may be some difficulties.
That's the report on fishing vessels temporarily stopping fishing amid COVID-19 in Myanmar. Stay with us as we bring you more reports on Myanmar Today. To show its support in fighting against COVID-19 in Myanmar, China has been sending supplies both in materialistic forms and a human resource since the first case of COVID-19 was reported in Myanmar. Therefore, to show their support in the fight of the COVID-19, CITIC Myanmar donated 30 tons of rice and other equipment for the locals in Chaopyu Township. And according to the statement from the representative who received the donation, it will mostly go to the poor and the needy in the township. Willison has details.
Since the first reported case of COVID-19 in Myanmar, both the Chinese government and non-Chinese governmental firms have been involved in donating supplies and other equipment to Myanmar in the fight against COVID-19. Not only material assistance, but also Myanmar has been receiving human resource from China, with the experts from China coming to Myanmar in the fight against COVID-19, showing the heartwarming support in time of need. Most of the donations have been focused around some of the major cities in Myanmar, such as Yangon, Mandalay, and Naypyidaw. However, on 7th of May, China International Trust and Investment Corporation Myanmar made their donation commitment to the people of Chaopyu in Rakhine State. And according to the report released by CITIC Myanmar, it has donated supplies worth 28 million kyats, which includes 30 tons of rice and 10 disinfectant sprayers. The donation handing over ceremony was held on 7th of May at OK Rice Mill in Hlaingtaya Township, and the donation was received by Insein, the representative of Donation Receiving Committee of Chaopyu Township. The event also was attended by Mr. Tan Shufu, the Economic Commercial Counselor of the Embassy of People's Republic of China, and Mr. Sun Tae-jung, Deputy Managing Director of CITIC Myanmar. Speaking about the important role this kind of donation plays for the locals in Chaopyu Township, Insein, the representative of Donating Receiving Committee, said,
In
the course of this global pandemic crisis, we are all affected by this crisis in one way or another. Therefore, when we are in need like this, we receive the donation from CITIC Myanmar, and this is also very much related to our ways of culture and tradition, meaning that we help the needy in time of the need. This also shows that China is standing with us in time of need, and it also means that we are Baopo indeed. And on behalf of all the locals in Chaopyu Township, I would like to say a big thank you to the donors.
According to the report by the donors, the second donation program will be held soon for the locals in Chaopyu Township. The second round donation will include masks, PPE, and other protective equipment for COVID-19. These equipment have been ordered in China, and they are in the midst of transporting them to Myanmar. Therefore, it will reach Myanmar in the middle of May or late May. Together, CITIC Myanmar will donate supplies worth around 110 million kyats in this 2 times donation program. However, according to Insein, all these supplies will not cover the need of the locals in Chaopyu Township. Therefore, these supplies will mainly go to the low-income families and daily wages in Chaopyu Township. And according to the report by Insein, since the confirmed case of COVID-19 was first reported in Myanmar, several businesses have been halted for some time, making price of rice, which is a difficult situation for the poor right now. Therefore, donation in time of need like this is very much appreciated. Speaking on how the locals could suffer if the situation continues like this in the coming months, Insein also said,
If the condition goes on like this in the coming months, I'm sure many people will suffer much, because most of the people in my place somewhere 5,000 kyats to 10,000 kyats in a day. With this little income, it is almost impossible for the people to cover the expenses in all areas. The longer it takes, the more difficult it gets for the people. But for now, we're somehow managing it with the help of many organizations like we have one today, and we are also extremely grateful for helping us in this time of need.
This is Insein for MI Radio.
That's the report on CITIC Myanmar donating supplies to Chaopyu locals. So now let's move on our phone interview with Mr. Xu Qiantao, senior journalist from China Media Group. And in this phone interview, we'll be talking about theories highlighting COVID-19's origin is not man-made. So firstly, we would like to start off with the current circumstances of the people debating with the issues regarding where the virus is originated from. Mr. Xu Qiantao, will you please tell us more about this?
Well, good morning. I'm Xu Qiantao reporting from Beijing. For the origin of the virus, it is a science issue, it's a research issue. It's really about the scientists and the researchers the work of them, they will do their due work to try to figure out where the virus is from, for the purpose of better understanding of the virus and the prevention of next pandemic or epidemic. So that is a scientific issue, but unfortunately it is being politicized. So now people are debating or discussing where it is from, whether it is from China, whether from nature, etc. The thing is, like, if you look at the history of epidemic, even it is from a certain region or certain country, it's not that a certain region or certain country should be blamed, because it's part of the nature. Throughout the human history, we have dealt with all kinds of viruses. For example, in recent memory, we have H1N1 originated in the United States. You have SARS from China, southern China, more than 10 years ago. You have MERS from the Middle East, and you have Ebola from Africa, etc. So it could be any part of the world, anywhere of the world. So it's not really about who is to blame or which country is to blame. The issue of that is for scientific study. Currently, most of the scientists believe that it is from nature, it is from bat, just like MERS, which is from camels, and just like SARS, which is from civet. So people believe the virus first appeared, carried by the bat, and then it jumped to an animal host, and from animal host it somehow transmitted to human being. The really differences between the two, let's say, two theories is that one group of scientists believe the virus is effective in infect human cells before it transmitted to the animal host. The others believe that it's effective after jumped from the animal host to human beings, and then it mutated and become effective to infect the humans. So that's, but again, it's really a scientific study. People have different researches, different understandings, but in general, they do agree it is from bat, it is from the wild.
So another topic or the question that I would like to probe further into is, why has the conspiracy theories regarding the virus has been spreading throughout the world, and how the scientists and researchers have been debunking those conspiracy theories?
Well, as for whether it is from the nature or whether it is man-made or made in the lab, this is part of the conspiracy theory. As we talked about, it is being politicized. So there is such a conspiracy theory that it is made in China, in one of the labs in Wuhan, the epicenter of the outbreak. But let me put it this way. Most of the scientists believe, through their studies and the researches, it is from nature. It is very likely from a bat. For example, one group of scientists have compared this novel coronavirus with other viruses, similar viruses, for example, other coronaviruses, for example, MERS and SARS and other kinds of viruses, coronaviruses, altogether 7 of them. And their conclusion is the features, biological features, are similar, if not identical. So in that sense, they all belong to this coronavirus family. They are from bat, they are from nature, they are not man-made. So that's the conclusion of most of the scientists, if not all of them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Xu Jiantao. That is from China Media Group. So that's all we have for today's reports, and it's time to check on some international news here on Myanmar Today. In an interview with CGTN, Michael Melham, mayor of the Belleville, New Jersey, explains his early COVID-19 related symptoms that started from November 2019.
It never really dawned on me. What happened was I went for an annual physical. I go every single year for an annual physical. And as I attended my annual physical, I said to my doctor, I said, "You're going to draw blood for me. Is there any chance that you can test my blood for the corona antibody?" And he said, "Why?" I said, "Remember how sick I was back in November? It just wasn't right. It was not the flu. I know it wasn't the flu. It certainly wasn't my allergies or my sinus infections." And I said, "Then can you please test for it?" And so he does the blood test, and it's a rapid test. So they call it a whole blood test. It's got serum, and it's got a baseline, and it's from a very, very reputable company. And he does the test, and he goes, it takes about 10 minutes. And he looks at it, and he goes, I could tell already where it's going. You're fine. And him and I were just chatting about a couple different things. And a few minutes later, his head looked down, and I saw his eyes almost came out of his head. And he looked at me, and he looked back at it. And he looked at me, and he looked back at it. He goes, you're positive. You have the antibody. And I said, I knew it. I knew it. He said, but the timeline doesn't work. I said, whose timeline doesn't work? You can't tell me that I wasn't sick.
So I have to ask you, because I'm sure you've heard the response from cynics. You've touched on some of them. Scenario A, you had this in November, showed very significant symptoms before the timeline that is generally accepted by most experts and understood by most experts. Or B, you contracted an asymptomatic version in January when it was known to have been in the US. I want to be clear for our viewers. You've said that you are in touch with your body. You've drawn the conclusion that it's likely A.
And I've been very clear. I've been very clear that A, I tested positive for coronavirus, and I've been an advocate for corona antibody testing. And I've also been very clear that it is my suspicion, it is my sincere belief that it was absolutely in November and not in January or February. I've also received dozens and dozens of emails and probably hundreds of social media comments of people sharing my story and sharing their own stories with me, thanking me for coming forward, because we were overrun from what I'm told in November and December with people very, very sick that tested negative for flu A, tested negative for flu B, tested negative for strep, that were going repeatedly to their doctors in November and December, and that were told that they don't have a flu, they just have bronchitis, they just have, a bad cough, or it's a bad cold. And I think that we just weren't expecting it then, so therefore the doctors didn't know what to call it or what to expect. I by no means, in saying that I'm a doctor and saying that I have proof positive, but it's very, very, in my opinion, it's extremely likely, based upon my own evidence, based upon my symptoms, based upon my timeline, and based upon the hundreds of other people who also believed they were very, very ill at that time period.
Executive Director of the American Public Health Association said it might be plausible, but it's not likely. That is from the American Public Health Association. What's your response to that?
I stand up to say that I was sick in November. I met all of the criteria. I have a positive antibody test, and I am certainly not alone in my assertion that I was sick in November. There are many, many other people. And I asked on Twitter. I'm still waiting for a major U.S. market-based media company to do an investigation, to do a study to just how many people think they were sick, and then go back and find out how many people actually thought they were sick and have tested positive for the antibody. I think that will settle a lot of debate.
A coronavirus vaccine developed in China has been proven effective in monkeys. PicoVac, a vaccine made by Beijing-based Sinovac Biotech, used a very typical method to prevent the virus from infecting life forms, putting a crippled virus into an animal body, forcing its immune system to produce antibodies. The antibodies will also kill normal viruses. The researchers injected the vaccine into Rhesus macaques, a kind of monkey originating in India, and then exposed the monkeys to the novel coronavirus 3 weeks later. Another week later, the monkeys that took the largest doses of the vaccine did not have the virus in their lungs, meaning that the vaccine worked. Meanwhile, the monkeys that didn't get a PicoVac caught the virus and developed severe pneumonia. The vaccine has been undergoing human tests in China since mid-April. A further 3.2 million Americans sought unemployment benefits last week as the economic toll from the coronavirus pandemic continued to mount. The new applications brought the total number of jobless claims since mid-March to 33.3 million, or about 20% of the U.S. workforce. The number of new claims reported each week by the Department of Labor has subsided since hitting a peak of 6.9 million in March, but they remain extraordinarily high, and the number of people collecting benefits has continued to rise despite recent moves to start reopening in some parts of the country. Russian President Vladimir Putin and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump discussed issues related to the coronavirus pandemic and exchanged congratulations on the 75th anniversary of the World War II victory. During a telephone conversation on Thursday, the Kremlin said in a statement. The statement said, quote, "In discussing the coronavirus situation, a positive assessment was given to bilateral cooperation. It was agreed to further promote the coordination in this direction," unquote. In this particular, the United States offered to send Russian medical equipment. The two leaders exchanged congratulations on the 75th anniversary of the World War II victory, stressing the significance of the alliance at that time. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I am Agajo. Have a great day, everyone. Stay home, stay safe, practice good personal hygiene, and follow instructions strictly, and always be on high alert for important news. Goodbye.